Welcome, Mark, to Kente Arts Alliance video version of things past, present, and future in the Pittsburgh jazz scene.
Well, I'm certainly glad to be here.
So, as we were chatting earlier, you say that you're from this neighborhood.
That's
I
correct.
know where you're from, and you're from Manchester.
I'm from Manchester, right here on Strickland Street.
All right. How did you get exposed to music as a child?
Of course, you know, in the very beginning, you know, you're exposed to it through the black church. Well, you know, all of my folks were all very religious, so, you know, my grandmother sang in the church choir, and some of my cousins, and so on and so forth. So the very beginnings of it were through the church. Matter of fact, it was right down here on Chateau Street, the Church of God.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, while I was not thrilled with going to church, because it just seemed to be long and I didn't understand very much, I did understand the musical portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was very exciting. And my grandmother was a virtuoso tambourine player.
All right.
And I found that to be very captivating. I used to try to experiment around with it when she wasn't watching. You know, she didn't like me picking up her stuff. You know how they were from that period. But that was the very beginning of it. And then later on, in the neighborhood, as a matter of fact, the neighborhood we're in now, there were so many jazz influences. All the clubs, Chappie's Bar, the Hi-Hat Lounge, George Benson and Gene Ludwig and Carl Murphy, all those guys, they were all playing in all these clubs. And, you know, of course, I was too little to actually legally go in, but you know, I used to have a little shoe shine box, and which kind of gave me the opportunity to go in under the guise of shining shoes, and I get to see all these people, you know, play. Along with that, there were just, I guess, like these traveling troubadour guys, man. And used to walk around. There was a guy named Bubba Harris. I have no idea where this guy is now. And he used to just walk around with a guitar. And he'd play on the street, you know, play the blues. He only knew like maybe 2 or 3 songs. He knew Bullfight, you know, the Chuck Edwards tune. And actually, I got him to show that to me. So that was the very beginning of me learning how to play guitar.
Okay, so I was going to ask, I mean, you know, did you choose the guitar or did the guitar choose you?
You know what, that's a good question. It started off that my mother wanted me to play the piano, and my Aunt Mattie, she you know, she played piano a little bit in the church and what have you. And so I took lessons from her, and I hated it because it was so regimented, and I don't know, man. Maybe I was like a hyperactive child, and I just didn't have the concentration to sit down and learn all that stuff from the John Thompson book and all that. So I kind of gave up on that, and my friend got a guitar, and he started taking these lessons downtown. And the next thing you know, man, he's like playing these little tunes, and I'm like, man, that looks kind of cool. So I asked my mom to purchase me a guitar, and her and my dad went to this pawn shop up on what was it, East Ohio Street or Federal Street. They used to have all these pawn shops up there, and they bought me this little $22 guitar, and I started taking guitar lessons, and that was kind of like the beginning of, you know, me figuring out that guitar and we had a future together. And so that's kind of how it started. Then, by the time we got to junior high school, we were so fortunate to have these really, really hip teachers. We had Joe Kennedy, was, I don't know if you know Joe Kennedy, but his father used to play with George Duvivier, he was a great violinist.
I know George Duvivier.
Yeah, and Joe Kennedy Sr. was a violinist, and Joe Kennedy Jr. was a fabulous piano player, and I think he played French horn, you know, and he was our junior high school teacher. And so we got to actually play tunes, and he would sit down and show us these different things about how chords work and all that sort of thing. So we got this adult education at this really, really young age. And fortunately, there were lots of people around in those days that were willing to, you know, mentor you.
Sure.